If you'll call roll, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant,
Here.
Commissioner Bryant,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Randy Petty, Isaac Crispin,
Here.
Commissioner Porter,
Here.
and Cliff Martin.
Okay, thank you. Move down to approval of the minutes of May 25th. I think those were emailed out to everyone, and I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of May 25th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 4 is discussion regarding roadway prioritization list, traffic studies with Mr. Clint Butch.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and committee members. As we've discussed in the prior 2 meetings, it's time to update our roadway prioritization list. You had asked for some traffic counts for each one of these roadways. The studies have been done. The sheet is in front of you showing the annual average daily traffic counts. What we did for this is we put out traffic counters on each one of these sections of roadway, and we left them out for a 7-day period. These are the numbers that came back. Nothing really surprising here that I could see. It just shows you the amount of cars that go through each one of these roadways a day. It is time to update this list. I guess we've got to get this list on the ICIP. Fairly quickly.
Yeah, we can add some of the roadways to the ICIP based off of how the list comes out.
It is time to put them in order. And in the past, we put these in this type of order. It doesn't mean that they're going to be constructed in that order. It just means that they're the highest priority. Sometimes we receive funding that would not be enough to do one of the major projects, but might do one of the lesser projects. But this gives us an idea of what's on our radar for the future projects.
Okay.
And I'll leave it up to Mayor Pro Tem of how he would like to score these, if we want to do it by consensus or we want to do it by each one of you doing a score sheet. So whatever you would like to do.
I think we've done it both ways in the past.
Yes.
And so, question first, I don't see MLK from 7th to 21st on here. Am I just missing it?
And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of the committee, these are the roadways that we counted. We obviously already had that on the prioritization list, so that would need to stay on the prioritization list. And so, yeah, we could just simply write that in as far as being the top project. Obviously, we're still have applied for funding for that roadway. It's already been designed, and so we didn't count that particular roadway.
Why don't we add that with MLK from 7th to 21st?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And myself, I'd kind of like, that's been on there for a long time. I'd like to see that remain as our number 1 priority myself, if that's
I
agreeable
agree.
to the.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, okay. Why don't we go down, we'll take that as number 1. What would we like to see as number 2?
Actually, my suggestion would be to rank them by traffic count.
Okay,
I don't know if we can do that, though, because we got some that are worse than others. And then, for instance, Yano Norris to Humphrey, that really needs to be done big time with all the construction that's going on out there. We got the new housing development going in and those type of things. And that road's deteriorating pretty bad. And Humphrey is certainly a high priority as well. Just, I mean, if you haven't driven that road, that thing is a mess.
Yeah,
Trying to get down on that one.
and I can agree to that. So where do y'all want to rank that? You want to rank it as number 2, or,
Which one?
well, that would be the North to Humphrey.
Norris to Humphrey?
Or is there one on there that, let's see.
I mean, keep it in the current rank so far, like the first 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the ranking. I think that's appropriate.
Okay,
I mean, I like the current ranking myself,
As-
based on driving the roads and seeing just because it's a high traveled road doesn't mean it's the one that needs the most repair today.
I tend to lean towards the Humphrey and 21st intersection. Do we have funding for that? Was that with the county? Wasn't that that was not
Gonna be
involved
with the
the county?
state, right?
Where that, for the alignment with?
That's a state highway. It's an interesting situation because it's, Humphrey is the city limits. And so even though on the west side is the city and the east side is technically the county, where the roadway divides the city from the county, the city is responsible for the maintenance of the roadway. And so, obviously the 21st Street and M523, correct? Yeah, is a state highway. And so they actually have maintenance responsibility, basically from North Street going to the east on that particular roadway. So there was one point in time where there's consideration to put a roundabout in that intersection. The DOT at the time had agreed to do the design of the roundabout. The city of Clovis would have been responsible for the construction of the roundabout. However, we didn't have any construction funds identified for that particular project, and so the DOT kind of stopped on the design of it. But that's kind of where that particular project is for that intersection.
That project's a ways from being,
Correct. There is no funding. There is
Executable.
no design.
okay.
And just for the committee's information on the Yano project, that is a project where we started, or we've actually completed the storm drain design for that particular roadway. We don't have roadway plans for it, but we do have storm drain plans for it. And our last cost estimate to install the storm drain alone was about $3.2 million.
Okay, so what's the wish of the committee?
I mean, I agree on Humphrey and 21st intersection. I understand that there's not any funding identified locally, but I think that since there is still been some effort in the past, I don't want it to at least drop in the rank order that it is currently.
Did you want me to put that as a low priority?
I'd at least like it to not drop to
Okay.
a lower ranking than it is currently.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, just for everybody's information, there is zero funding for any of these projects. And so it's just kind of prioritizing our list as we go out to look for funding for these particular projects.
Understood.
I think the question to ask, is there any one of these that anybody thinks needs to move up on the list, right? Or is the order that's there pretty good?
Well, I have a question though. Is this ranking that you got ranking here? That's not ranked.
That's not actually a rank. That's just. a-
That's where they
just-
fell last
Yeah,
time,
that's
right?
But it's not a ranking.
It's not an actual ranking right now. No.
That's where we might want to go through these and make a decision as to where to rank them at.
I think I would say that I think we had quite a bit more discussion about the first 5 or so, and we all kind of settled on that last time. And maybe the daily traffic information might help us maybe reprioritize the lower half of the list today.
I would tend to agree with that. I mean,
Okay.
if you ranked, I mean, we talked 1 through 5, and then if you went off traffic counts from 6 to 12 and ranked them by traffic count, I think that would be probably the best thing to do.
Okay, so the first 5 would stay where they're at.
Actually, it
Well-
ends up being 6, right? Because MLK
Right.
to,
And the first 5 were on the original list,
Okay,
if you recall.
But with MLK being the first.
right,
yeah, so 1 through 6 stay the way they are, essentially, right?
right.
And then re-rank based on traffic count?
And starting at Humphrey, Lano to 21st, down, they'd be ranked by traffic count.
I tend to agree with that.
Is everybody agreeable to that?
Yeah, I think early, that's fine. I think we ought to consider down the road, though, that not just traffic count as a ranking, the sole ranking factor, but the deterioration of the road, how bad that road is too, we need to consider.
Well, correct, yeah. Is everybody okay with that?
I'm okay with that, yeah.
I'll make a motion, that's the way we rank them.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Same with that opposed? Okay, motion carries.
12 is 8.
Okay, we'll move on to discussion regarding Jake brake signage for the city. And I'm going to turn this over to Commissioner Bryant for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and committee members. I've had several complaints about the use of Jake brakes within the city of Clovis. I reached out to administration and Clint Bunch and at Public Works, and signage has been put up at the 4 entries coming into the city of Clovis for Jake brakes that are prohibited within the city of Clovis. I'm still getting several complaints about the intersection at Brady and Prince Street, as that's a truck route coming through the city of Clovis. I don't know if any of you guys have actually heard what a Jake brake does, but it sounds like a machine gun going off, and if you're in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and hear that go off, it kind of rattles you out of bed. I put this on the agenda to suggest that maybe we put signs coming from Norris Street into the intersection there at Brady and Prince, and also coming from Hull Street into that same intersection at Prince Street. That's just my suggestion, but I will open it up for comment or any other suggestions that you guys might have.
Okay. Any comments from the committee?
Commissioner,
The
can you,
signs currently.
Currently, they're coming in from Cannon Air Force Base, they're coming in from Texaco,
And on s-
Portales
and then on
Highway
70.
coming into Clovis, and the other one coming in from Grady.
Where are they located on, specifically on 684? Because I've never noticed it coming into town.
We just installed them.
Right, they were installed about a month ago.
Okay,
As
that's
soon as we
probably
got this.
why.
We
So-
have had them in the past, but because of traffic accidents and things, some of them have been taken out. When this was brought to our attention, we went ahead and put on all 4
Right.
entrances to town.
Where's it located in relation to Pilot? Is it east of Pilot,
Out there towards Cooks.
towards Cooks? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them putting it down on Brady. I mean, that makes sense. Because it's the alternate truck route, right?
I will say that if we put out signs, and anytime we put out signs, if there's no enforcement of those signs, then a sign does absolutely no good. Like many of you said, you don't even know there's signs out there right now.
Well, I've
You don't
got some feedback on that, on the one that was put up coming in from Portales, and it has cut it down a little bit. I know it's not gonna be enforceable, and if you're gonna use a Jake brake, or if you're gonna speed, or you're gonna do anything, the sign's not gonna help you, but it has cut down some, and I think that, coming in both other ways will help cut down on it.
Okay, yeah, we're just going off our past history of, we understand, the more signs you put out, the more white noise there is, and the less people will read a sign when there's too many signs in a certain section.
We'll all agree, coming in from Portales, there's a lot of signs. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I mean, another thing, if they are coming south from Portales and they're using the back way, they're not even gonna see the sign that's up on 684, because they're gonna use Brady to come across, right?
Right, that's why my suggestion is to put them on Brady.
No, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Commissioner, what was your other location that you want them?
Coming in from Hull Street to Prince Street, and from Norris Street to Prince Street, that truck route.
And so what I'm understanding is just basically adding 2 signs.
Correct.
On
Correct.
Brady. One
Correct.
coming east and west.
Yep.
Into Prince Street on Brady.
Are you suggesting about halfway down each one of those?
Probably so, yeah, right before, enough time to get to that stoplight.
Just before you would hit their Jake brake.
Right, right.
Okay, anybody have, any concerns with that, or is everybody okay with it? Okay, let's just go ahead and move forward with it. Okay, we've done number 6, update on current projects. We'll start with our city update with Mr. Howald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. If you haven't noticed, work on Norris Street has started. Our intention is to get in front of Zia Elementary, get the concrete work completed, handicap improvements made in that area first, along that western side of the roadway itself. Then we'll jump over to the eastern side of the roadway and start making those improvements. We're actually going to add sidewalk also in areas that we don't have sidewalk, so that'll be a much needed improvement. And then the plan is to concrete the roundabout. Obviously, as Clint's mentioned in the past, we do have some rutting and shoving in there, so that'll address all that. That traffic control is going to be tricky, and we're obviously going to ask the public to bear with us, because we're more than likely going to have to close the intersection because we can't obviously get that concrete work completed and keep the intersection open at the same time. Then, once all that is completed, we'll start on the milling and resurfacing of the roadway itself, going between Putnam and north to the roundabout. The schedule on that particular project, obviously is, we've already started, and so we're expected to be completed by December time period to wrap up that work. So, obviously, construction is not a good thing for the traveling public. However, it's a good thing for the traveling public because they're going to have a nice road once we're all completed. The 7th Street project, we actually have the pre-construction meeting today. And if you recall, that's going to go from about Maple Street all the way to Main Street, in which we'll be rebuilding the entire roadway itself, adding ADA improvements, making some signal improvements at Prince Street, adding bike lanes, new sidewalk all through that area, storm drain systems to help with the drainage flooding that we recognize in the area. So, like I said, pre-con starts today. The contractor is expected to get started on that particular project until the end of August, beginning of September. And the construction period on that, obviously it's a major project. It's going to last a little over a year to complete all of that work. So once we get started on it, we'll be under construction for quite some time. The Purdue and Eccles drainage improvements, I've received 30% design plans on those. Now working with our consultant to do a utility walkthrough, just kind of walk the corridor so that they can get more familiar with the corridor itself and hear from the local utility companies, including the city of Clovis, on any impacts that may impact the installation of storm drainage system and their design on that particular project, but have received 30% plans on that. MLK, as we talked about earlier, we have completed the design plans on that and asked for construction funding. We did rank second, I believe, through the transportation project funds out of our local region of the Southeast SRPTO. And so that's been submitted to the district. The district will then submit it to the State Transportation Commission. They're scheduled to meet in August to select the projects that are going to move forward and receive the funding on that. So we're just now waiting to hear back from the state on whether or not, once that August meeting occurs, on whether or not we'll receive funding for Martin Luther King.
What was the total cost on that one? Do you remember?
That one was around $8 million total cost. And of course, and just for y'all's information, it is a full rebuild of MLK, widening it, going to a 3-lane section, adding sidewalks, new curb and gutter. Not a whole lot of storm drain system because we can drain the roadway over towards the channel. And the channel, actually, we're going to come in there and concrete line. We'll get better flows with that channel. Also, from a maintenance standpoint, we won't have to be in there mowing the concrete itself. So,
Is that still figured about $1 million a mile?
if you're doing a milling and resurfacing, you're at about $1 million a mile. If you're doing a full reconstruction, you're probably looking at taking a 2-lane rural section to a 3-4-lane urban section. You're probably looking nowadays around $6-7 million a mile.
Wow.
So, and our road bonds generate about $3.5 million. So, you can see why we don't get down that roadway prioritization list very fast.
Dustin, where does concrete sit toward asphalt now on pricing? Is it about the same, or is it
Concrete's still a little higher.
higher?
Concrete's still quite a
Still higher?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it's impacted not only by the price of the concrete, but with rebar and the price of steel. And so if steel prices go up, then your concrete prices are going to go up.
So it's still higher?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is the roundabout going to be done in concrete?
The roundabout will be done in concrete. A lot of times we get a lot of turning movements or slowing down movements. That's where we look to utilize concrete.
And can you tell me again, Justin, how thick that concrete's going to be on the roundabout? Was it 8 inches?
I think 8 inches off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah. And just for example, I mean, the concrete that they put on US 7084, the DOT rebuilt that roadway several years ago. I think they had 12 inches of concrete in that particular area. Just, it's based off of truck traffic and easels, equivalent single axle loads is what so we look at pavement designs and design that. And then finally, I guess FEMA, obviously, last reported, we've resubmitted to FEMA, received comments back again. It's interesting because some of the comments were regarding things that we'd already submitted to them. And so not sure if they're just trying to buy time to give themselves more time to review, but that extends their review period by providing us comments. So we're resubmitting to them some items, and then it'll be under review again. So with that, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Howald? No, I do have one, actually two.
You're limited to one.
Legacy did some of the maintenance on the roundabout at one time? Mm-hmm. Okay, are they discontinuing that?
That is
And
correct.
if so, who's going to do it?
Our Parks Department has already taken it over,
Okay,
so they are still watering, and we are doing the full maintenance on us now.
okay. Go ahead.
Go, no, you want me to ask mine? I was just gonna ask about the camera. Is the
Okay.
camera still gonna be there?
The only other question, had talked at one time in previous meetings about the 21st by Walgreens. The left turn going both ways. Where are we at on that?
We had received prices to put that in previously, and we didn't have it in the budget. So if that's something that you guys would like to reconsider again, I can get updated pricing on that and bring it back to this committee at the next meeting.
I'd like to see us do that. That is a hazardous spot. I mean, if you're not paying attention, you know, you come bumper to bumper, try and turn into Walgreens or turn into Subway there.
Yep.
Just for my information, is it going to block off that west turn in to Walgreens and then make it where you have to go up Ross and turn in behind the?
Correct. So the plan was to, on the Walgreens parking lot itself, on that entrance that comes out on 21st Street, that would become a right-in only. That's where their delivery trucks come into. And so you'd only be able to enter the property off of 21st Street. You wouldn't be able to exit the property off of
Right.
21st Street. So that means the traffic that is exiting out of Walgreens would have to utilize their back driveway that goes out onto Ross. Ross right now is a right turn only, but we would open that up to where you could make right turns or left turns off of Ross. And then we would put in a center median on 21st Street from Prince Street going west to about to Ross Street, obviously allowing for the turning movements to take place at Ross. And so that would then, the access to those stores on the south side of 21st Street would be limited. And then we would look at adding median on the north side of Prince Street, north of 21st Street, as well as replacing the median that's on the south side of 21st Street, just so it matches all in that area as well. And so, like I said, I had received a price on that previously. We didn't have funding in the budget, so I'll go back out and get pricing on that as well again.
Okay.
The other thing that I've actually asked the city attorney to look into is you guys seen the red light cameras, and so I've asked him to look into the legality of utilizing red light cameras at that particular intersection. I was sitting at the intersection just the other day on my way to work, and when the light turned green, traffic coming from the east, even though they had a red light, about 6 cars still proceeded through the intersection itself. So, like I said, checking into the legality of using red light cameras to enforce maybe some of that traffic signal.
That's not just that intersection, that's every intersection. I wait every single time.
Yeah, that one's particularly bad with the amount of cars and volume that actually goes through it. And so, once I find out, I don't think it's legal on state roads, but on local roads, we may have some ability to do that.
Is that still one of the highest traffic intersections in the state?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know about in the state.
Well, it
in the
used to
city.
be, it used to be one of the top 3 in the state. I don't know if it is now with traffic.
I would
count,
suspect
but,
it's not.
So, I
And
mean,
we had that conversation with Walgreens as well, and they agreed that it was a problem.
Yeah, and I spoke to the manager at the time and submitted them the plan, and they ran it through their corporate, and they said that they were fine on it. And that's where we learned that was where their delivery trucks come in and tried to accommodate them for that.
Yeah, if we could get some new numbers maybe for the next meeting and discuss that a little bit more, I think that'd be good. I
Certainly.
think it's becoming a safety issue, I believe.
Yep.
For sure.
Could I-
Commissioner Bryant, you had a question?
I was just gonna ask if the traffic cam on the roundabout there on Norris Street
And that was
is still
something
gonna-
that Legacy Life had up, Faith Christian.
is still gonna be,
It wasn't our camera, was it?
Well, it was our camera.
Okay.
They just, they allowed us to use their internet connection and their electricity and mount it on there, but it's been down for years. That
Yeah.
was deprecated, the camera's
Okay.
20 or 18 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I had one,
Okay.
I had one question, just for a point of clarification. Did you state that, on the introduction of a median on a section of 21st, that there would be limited access to businesses on the south side. Is that only during construction or after the median would be installed?
That'd be
Permanent.
after the median's installed. Yeah, so there is the Subway, there is the smoke shop that's on that south side of the roadway there. I think there's a nail place. Basically, you'd have to come in from, turn left at Ross and then come into those businesses off of Ross Street. What happens is at your major intersections, you want to limit driveway points because you're creating turning conflicts. And so, for example, somebody that's going, say, westbound, they get through the intersection, they want to turn into the nail salon, they stop because there's not a turning lane. The turning lane is actually designed for traffic that wants to make a left and go north. And so there's just too many turning conflicts in that intersection, which creates high traffic crash volume. So
I
trying to
understand.
limit that.
Thank you. I understand that concern, but I guess my follow-up then is, at what point, or is there a requirement at any point to have to notify business owners or property owners of a permanent change in traffic flow that might affect their bottom line?
Yeah, absolutely. And we would certainly notify all the businesses within the area. And then, we don't have to go through the NEPA process, which is where you would have public meetings, et cetera, and notify people of what you're doing, get public input back to it, and then adjust alignments or typical sections, et cetera, based off of what the public feedback you get. And so it's something that we look at as an organization, the city of Clovis, and look at the greater good and look in trying to solve those issues.
Okay, thank you.
When we notified Walgreens that we were looking into this, did we also notify the businesses on the south side?
We have not at this point, but it's certainly, I mean, if we're Walgreens obviously was the largest traffic volume standpoint of people coming in and out, as well as delivery trucks coming in and out. And so that's why we worked with them. But we would, on the north side, Walgreens already has a right in, right out coming southbound on Prince Street, going northbound. The bank is there. But you would still, as long as people still have access to their businesses, yes, it may be a little more difficult. However, as long as we're not eliminate access completely to that business, we still feel that there is opportunity there for customers to get there.
Okay, anything else? Oh, okay, thank you. Good update. All right, our next one is Close Municipal Schools with Mr. Brady, and I've known Mr. Brady for a long time.
Yes, sir.
He taught my kids at Highland and then moved up to Marshall and then moved to the high school. Now he's in administration, so welcome to
Yes.
the meeting.
Yes, thank you. Hopefully, I'm filling big shoes with the departure of Mr. King, but appreciate the opportunity to be able to update you folks on what's going on with the school district. So look through your last meeting minutes, and so really just kind of putting to bed some of the things that Mr. King talked to you about. Phase one, we're looking at an occupancy, certificate of occupancy the first week of August. Specifically, we met with a contractor and PSFA this week and did a walkthrough on the building, and it looks like we'll be able to put students and teachers in that new addition at Berry. We've moved on to phase two. We've awarded that into the design phase. We anticipate late spring, early summer, going into the remodel for the existing structure there at Berry Elementary. So construction's going to be there for a while. Tori's living through a few years of that concurrently. Once Berry is completed, we have awarded also a design for where student support is behind the church off of Purdue over there. And so that will be transitioning into what we call our ICANN Academy for Alternative Ed for students. And so students will be housed there that qualify and require services for mental health, behavioral support, to give them the kind of wraparound and behavior management support that they need to be successful in school. Once SSC is at a completion rate that's satisfactory, we'll be looking to move into the rain tree design phase for that structure, going to RFP for design on that, and then moving towards the remodel and the retasking of that for the future central office for Clovis schools. Windows and doors, Marshall and Clovis High School Freshman Academy are completed as far as the installation. They're going in and they're doing all the punch list on that and sealing that up. Clovis High School, they're working through the buildings themselves. They'll get all the exterior taken care of and as much as the interior prior to school starting, but they'll still be working when kids show up on the 11th there at Clovis High School. That's going to take a little while longer to get completed. Pretty happy about that. Yucca's parking lot, we will have parking minus the lighting to open the school. So we're excited about that. That's a nice addition to that facility and will help streamline traffic flow, pick up and drop off there for students. So safety will be addressed and we're excited about that. And then have been working, had a couple of meetings with Mr. Holwalt, and we will begin our facility master planning. It's the last year of the master plan that we have right now for facility movement in the school district. And so we'll be looking at a firm to take that on and put another 5-year plan together with community and our parents and looking forward to some partnership opportunities with the city as we look at future opportunities to meet the needs of our families, not just students, but our families here in the community. So Mr. Holwalt's been wonderful to work with on that. Other than that, we're getting ready to gear up for school. August 11th, lots of open houses are starting to happen. We've got new arrivals, enrollments taking place. Lots going on.
Great, questions? Okay.
Jay, I guess I have a question. I'm just curious about how is teacher staffing going? I mean, I know
That's a
that
great
was been a
question.
challenge in the past. How's that going?
Well, we're excited because, you know, that's a moving target. Mr. Strickland talked about that at the school board meeting last night. You know, you think you have it locked and the next day somebody either gets added or somebody leaves. Right now, we have less than 20 positions district-wide to fill, and that fill rate is exemplary, and we've made a lot of hard decisions, math and science being some of those positions that are hardest to fill, but we've been able to coax. I'm going to tell you the salaries and the things that we've done to advance extra pay for teachers in that content. We've drawn some people out of retirement and they've come back, and so we're excited with what the way we're moving and the fact that we're not missing. I'll just use the high school. When I left the high school, we had 6 math positions. We're staffed at this point right now, so it's exciting to hear.
Thank you.
Good, very good. You mentioned Rain Tree. That was going to become administration,
Yes.
and what's going to happen to the Main Street administration?
The existing structure will stay in place. The boardroom will remain there at the Main Street location. Technology will flow into that. I was able to tour a new facility that's been erected about 2 hours from us, south of us, okay? And the technology bay that they have for shipping and receiving there, what they do for workstations, the environment that the techs are able to work in, we are going to be able to provide a better workspace and increase productivity with the techs that we have. You never have enough techs for IT. There's a lot of devices. I don't know if you know the numbers. There's 8,000 student devices alone in this district that have to be managed when we talk about Chromebooks. That's not laptops, that's not short throw projectors, that's not any kind of digital camera that you're going to use. And our techs have to manage all of that as we go through. And that's not just the skyward mechanism that we have for reporting our data management system that they have to oversee, as well as all the Google suite apps and stuff that you can get into. It's a big job to manage technology. So when you think about where we are, we have them housed at transportation right now, and they're really working in bays and some makeshift areas that were storage. When we redesign Rain Tree and we move out of the Main Street location to Rain Tree, that will become a professional development center that will house more than what we have right now. There are trainings that we have to limit in the district, especially for elementary. When you start thinking about numeracy and literacy training and professional development for our elementary teachers, we have to minimize the number of teachers that can be a part of that just because of space. As we move forward, redesigning that and retasking that boardroom also into a professional development center for teachers to participate in those trainings, which is critical for moving our students to higher levels of proficiency in both of those two major core content areas. So we'll have technology, we'll have a professional development, and we'll have meeting spaces there that will be flexible in their design, movable walls, things of that nature. So it will really satisfy what we need to do to keep moving forward to advance student performance.
Great. Okay, any questions?
Awesome job. Great.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Brady. Good report, and a lot of things going on with Clovis schools.
Yes, sir.
Great. I want to back up from that to Mr. Howell a second. I had another question on Seventh Street. With that construction on Seventh, that's three, that's right. Does that include lighting?
Yes.
It
We'll
does,
be-
good.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll be adding new lighting. And basically, at all, we have enough intersections of that area that they'll be at all the intersections.
Okay, good, good. All right, for the good of the order, does have anything else to bring up? No, okay. Our next meeting date is 8:30, August 24th, right here at the North Annex, and we are adjourned.
Awesome.